1, 2, 3, 4.
Is drummer right? Is it okay to say drummer?
Pounding his pulsing beat into the hearts of all America.
You motherfuckers are fucking all over this joint.
You do your kind of drumming, and I'll do my kind of drumming.
I have no more time. You don't know what I'm up against.
The only things I care about in this goddamn life are me and my drums and you.
The official explanation was he choked on vomit.
You suppose maybe I could put the drums in your place and sort of drop in once in a while?
Now back to Gene Krupa's syncopated style shortly.
Get up there behind those drums, lean back, close your eyes, get right in the groove there, give it a good steady beat.
I got blisters on my fingers.
I'd hit that.
I'm in Austin, Texas, with Stan Lynch. Stan.
Do you need to hold that thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do hold that thing. How are you, man?
I'm good.
I appreciate you doing this.
It's a pleasure.
You were just saying it's been a long time since you've been in Austin.
It's been ages. I was here for producing a Don Henley Austin City Limits. He did a show here, I guess, probably 2005 or something.
You produced that episode.
Correct.
How does that work, if I can ask? Like, what does that even mean?
Okay, that's a lot. I'm probably overstating my case. I handled the music of that. I did not produce the television show. Excuse me.
Were you the MD?
No, the MD, I believe, is I'm pretty sure it was Will Hollis at the time, or maybe Stuart Smith. But all the recordings are. Don and I would take those and make sure that they were exactly what he was looking for and in sequence in the assembly. And if there were any musical errors, we batted a little cleanup and just dialed it in, you know?
Right.
It's a pretty big, because it was the first night of a tour. The musicians get all credit to those guys. They learned charts, it was a very complex record. It was all over the map. And it was a lot of assembly to create a cohesive show out of the ether.
We got a lot of people passing through. We're at the hotel, by
Friends of yours?
Friends of mine. Everyone here knows Stan is on tour. We're going to jump around a lot. Stan is on tour with the Dirty Knobs.
True.
Mike Campbell's band.
That's all true.
And so he's at the hotel. They're doing a show. Antone's, right?
Sounds good to me.
You just go where they tell you.
I follow the flashlight.
Is this the first tour you've done in how long?
30 years.
Really?
First time I've been behind a kit in 30 years.
No, that can't. No, I thought you played on drums.
I play drums at home. I own a studio, and I play on my records and the stuff I do with I have 2 quarantine bands that I love, and so I play. I make my own recordings. But no, Mike was it was a call out of the blue. Like he just, hey, you feel like playing drums, and I'm like, I don't know, let's find out. So basically,
what was that like? Do you say, let me think about it, or?
Well, yeah, there's a little of that, but it's more like it's Mike, and Mike is a brother. He's I've known Mike since I was 15 years old, man. So when Mike assures me that it's less of an audition than just would you please show up and have some fun with me, it's I can accommodate that sort of concept. Make sense?
Absolutely. You just got to know the ins and the outs and some details.
Well, I shedded it. I mean, I listened. It was the first time in my life I've ever actually learned material I didn't have ownership. And my drummer buddies were cracking up. I mean, Matt obviously Matt Log, great drummer for the Knobs.
By the way, shout out to Matt Log for hooking this up. Matt Log made this happen.
Matt Log is a badass, and I knew that from talking to Bobby Glaub and people in the biz who've always said Matt Log is he's tremendous. And then when I listened to the records, he's made 2 records with the Knobs. He's made a lot of records, but those 2 that specifically. Those were my assignment, if you will. That set me back on my heels a bit, learning. I called Bissonette and Aronoff and guys, drummers, and said, what's going on here? I got to actually learn. And he goes, welcome to the real world, Lynch. I'm like, I've never had to learn a song that I didn't. I wasn't a drummer. I was a guy in a band, which is very different than being a professional drummer. Trust me.
Because that was your first band? Is that what you're saying?
No, just being a drummer in a band, you have ownership of your parts, you have ownership of what you do, and you really work within yourself. You never really stretch, which is part of the problem. You just do. Like, I was a little kid, I joined a band and counted 4, and they made that noise. I never thought about playing the drums, I just thought about being in the band. And it wasn't until much later, after the group, that I realized these are because I thought, pardon me, that's terrible form. Kids, don't ever do this. Don't ever do this. Don't ever do this to someone. It's I had to learn other people's material. That was Michelle, by the way, making sure I was here.
Thank you to Michelle.
Yeah.
She's been great.
So where was I? Oh, yeah.
Learning songs.
Impossible.
Being a drummer in a band as opposed to...
A real drummer, actually having to learn other people's charts.
This kind of happened for you when you did the Dylan tour.
That's so different. I mean, that was a rolling, fabulous chaos. We never practiced. You don't practice like a Rolling Stone. You just play like a Rolling Stone, and you play it how you think it goes.
So there were never rehearsals for that?
Well, there were rehearsals, but they were more like jams. Just get to know you. Like, get to know. They were musical conversations between Bob and Tom and the band, and they're just conversations. Like, hey, if I do this, is that good? Oh yeah. You didn't. But they were never discussed. I mean, my background as a drummer is there's very little conversation. You just play, and if somebody's unhappy, you'll hear about it. Like, they'll go, no, too fast, too slow, don't like it, don't come in here. But short of that, you're just given free rein, and I was given, from 1970 till 1994, I was just given free rein. Just knock yourself out.
24 years of just,
Yeah, I mean, between...
Do what feels right.
Apparently it's working out, until it isn't,
Right. Well, talk to me a minute about that Dylan tour. I mean, so
sure.
That was because now you guys were on tour together initially, right? That's the first part of that?
Meaning
Heartbreakers and Bob Dylan.
Correct. I think we met him at I'm going to probably screw this up, but I think it's at a Farm Aid. We met Bob, who was being managed by Elliot Roberts, who managed our band. He was a superstar kind of manager early in, one of the architects of the music business. And he might have suggested, well, Bob's going to be at Farm Aid. Why don't you guys knock out a set with Bob? And it was like, I don't even know. We may have rehearsed for that, but I think it was like, it wasn't I think we just walked up, but I don't, Maggie's Farm. I don't know that I ever listened to the records, but I knew from osmosis, Bob's catalog. You just can't live in the world and have been born in the 50s and not know his songs. You might not know his arrangements. And those later, after the tour was over, I realized what amazing records he had made. But I was too stupid and stubborn to really notice them. And plus you're in a band, you just make your joyful noise. You just get up there and you Heaven's Door goes like this. You don't really. I was blissfully unaware of anything, till last week.
Oh, I know. I can appreciate this. How old were you at that time, roughly?
Probably in my early 30s.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was.
Look at that now, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time ago. We went around the world a couple times. It was really great. The music was. I thought that was man in full, band in full. I thought that's the greatest, and I thought the trajectory of the group would continue that way, be weirder, almost more. I won't, not a jam band, but I thought we would continue to grow musically and become less constrained by the record process. And boy, was I was so wrong that's where my excommunication occurred, because I didn't give a shit about making pop records. I still really don't, but I do and I can. But I like to just play the damn drums, I mean, it seems like you should try hard early, and then later in life you should just be yourself, man. You know, just do what you. So I kind of went into shock when the group became like constrained, you know, like, and you know, I was being not only told what to do, but shown what to do. Like, you know, like, you need to do the snare drum here, and I'm like, well, why don't we just play this shit? You know, it's like, but I get it now. But you know, you talk to a young man, and you know, pride before the fall. You know, it's like, so I have no regrets about it, but I could see where my path diverged absolutely from where the Heartbreakers were going, and why I needed to go make records and write songs and do this whole other thing. You know, I needed another life.
Yeah. Now that's something you had been doing during that time?
Yeah, but never particularly well. I mean, you know, Tom had a great saying that, you know, I think I once mentioned early, hey, you know, I'm writing some songs, and he just casually said, you know, write 100 because your first 100 will suck. And he was right. You know, he's right. Get him over with. So, you know, I think I'd probably written halfway to not sucking, and then I was very fortunate. I gotten some cuts over the time, you know, maybe like a June Pointer song or a Peter Noon song, or gotten a couple cuts, you know, like, and then you know, I'd been writing the whole time. I'm trying to remember if I had any success. You know, I'd had songs on records, but
you did have success. I mean, didn't you have a number one song? Was it Tim McGraw?
This is much later.
Oh, okay.
Much later. I mean, okay. This is like my whole.
You're talking about even while you're in the Heartbreakers.
Yeah. In the Heartbreakers, I was getting cuts, but they were like very inconsequential, and they were demonstrating to me that this is a life you can have. You know, you can become more adept at this, and I have little recording studios in my house, and yeah, I mean, I think maybe, I don't even remember, but I have to look at all music and go, oh right. But during my diverging paths with Petty and the Heartbreakers, I met Danny Korchmeyer, who introduced me to Don Henley, and those two guys gave me an entire second act and created a whole set of hoops and hurdles to jump, and things to learn, and disciplines to acquire, and they were phenomenal big brothers. You know, they had faith. They were like, you know, yeah, you're drummers, so what? There's a million of them. Why don't you show us what you got? And Danny basically told me to write songs by simply just saying, you know, you're a funny guy, write this down. You know, like, because I was being glib or whatever. He was like, you know, and then he introduced me to Don, who I had met earlier, but just as a drummer. Like, hey man, great to meet you. You're a cool dude. And then Don shepherded my entire. He opened doors that just said, like, get in here, write, produce. And I served an apprenticeship with Danny and Don that was invaluable. Like, just, they allowed me to hang around while they made Don's first couple solo records. You know, they just said, you know, you can be here. And basically, I made coffee and weighed in on opinions. You know, like, I knew I was getting a little further up the food chain when Don would actually say, you know, what do you think? You know, like, do you like this vocal better? Do you like that bass? And I actually had an opinion. So,
where is this in Los Angeles?
This is Los Angeles. It's all happening. I'm probably Don's second solo record, and I'm not sure if it was, but one of them, Danny said, you know, Don, we could use some input on a lyric. And it was like, hell yeah. So I filled a legal pad and went to Don's house, and it was one of those nail-biting, nut-curdling moments where you're like trying to reveal your inner self to a brilliant guy, and he didn't shun it completely. He corrected my spelling, offered some good books for me to read, and he said, you know, you basically suck. You're basically a functional illiterate, and I was. And he, you know, and he told me, if you're serious, garbage in, garbage out, better in, better out. You know, he gave me that whole. He sent me home with a stack of 25 great books and said, you know, next time we talk, read them. You know, and it was like. And he made me he let me audit his process, which is very disciplined and very fastidious, very careful. Every word matters, you know, even if it's, you know, I mean, whether it's plural or singular matters. You know what I mean? You don't just Don throws very little away. So to get to audit that process was like, right, this isn't just like guys drinking beer and going, man, we should write a song. It's like, Don writes, he's a writer. And so learning at his heel was fabulous. That's like learning to play drums with Vinnie Colaiuta. It was like, you're way in over your head, but if he'll teach you to go boom, boom, schmeck, you want to go boom, boom, schmeck. And Don walked me right through it. I don't know why. I don't know what the hell he saw in me, but he's been a great pal. He's, and really, he's been the key to my whole second act, making his records and with him. I'm not saying I do it, I'm just saying we collaborate and he allows that. And we're social, we're buddies, and I don't know how that works. We're friends and we work together. Neither of us can figure out how the hell that works. By all rights,
it's never ruined it, is what you're saying.
I don't think it does. I mean, I would rather get fired than lose Don as a friend any day of the week. Mm-hmm. So he's welcome to kick my ass to the curb. Just don't lose me as a buddy.
So you're still collaborating?
Yeah. Don and I, there's no reason not to. I mean, he's that's a high watermark, and he's a great singer, and he's a good dude. Enough. I mean, if Don hears this, he's going to tell me to shut up. So I'll shut myself up.
So, okay, so let's, again, we jump around a lot, but so just to get back to Dylan real quick.
Yeah.
I always hear that he's the kind of guy, at least these days, where it's like he throws it out night by night.
Yeah.
Tonight, this is a shuffle now. Was it that way?
I was multiple minutes into certain songs before I knew what they were.
So he's starting it and it's just jump in.
Well, you don't know. It's like, I mean, not to be too technical, but from a drummer's point of view, if you hear, all you hear out of the darkness is, where's one? Is this a reggae? Is it, or is it boom, boom, ba? So I would just jump in with like a reggae. I'd figure, well, it feels like he's trying to do like ska. And you just commit. And turns out that song is like, halfway through it, you realize, oh my God, we're doing Masters of War, or we're doing some, but it was wonderful. It was absolute chaos. And the trust, the bravery of that guy was like, and there's no showbiz, there's no guile in that man. He's just like, so he's, and the other thing about when you're a drummer with Bob Dylan, you're not really needed. I mean, if you fall off the back of the stage and just, the show's going to be fine without you. You know what I mean? He's freaking Bob Dylan, So drums, it's like for him, everything's an option. It's like he looks around and goes like, and he gave great stage direction to me, like for dynamics. If it was like, if I was about to get too bawdy and think I was going to introduce a section, the way drummers tend to go like, oh, this must be where it goes. He'd just give you the look like, nah, not today, Cato. Just keep it in your pants,
not today, Cato.
Yeah, just like, not, let me be, I'm feeling like, so,
but it would only be in the moment, like it wasn't like afterwards backstage.
Oh, God, no. Oh, right. No way. I mean, no, they were only and plus I was irreverent. I didn't, I was so full of shit with Bob, like in terms of not, it was still about me and the Heartbreakers, you know what I mean? I got Bob, I knew he's brilliant, but I didn't really understand what my job was. I thought I was up there to kick ass and have a great time. And it wasn't until somewhere in Italy that I think, Bob would dismiss the group and he'd come out and do 3 or 4 songs all by himself every night, which was, sometimes I'd watch, sometimes I didn't. One night I just sat there on the drum stool and watched like 6 Super Troopers on Bob, and he's singing, I don't even know what song it was, but I was in tears when I realized this man wrote all this. He wrote these words, he wrote these chords, he wrote these melodies, and I was ripped. I was gutted. I could barely play. I was crying. And after the show, I remember walking up and putting my hands on his shoulders. I go, Bob, you blew my mind tonight. And this was after we'd been out for a year or so. And he looked at me and he goes, Stan, are you all right? Because I had been the guy who was just been like, I won't say a frat boy. I wasn't that bad, but by comparison to, I wasn't a scholar. Does that make sense? I was a goofball. I was living the drummer myth.
You were a rock and roller.
And with all that implies, I hope there's some good in it, but mostly it was unbridled, youthful stupidity,
Yeah, but you had a good time.
Yeah, I'm 99% of the time playing the drums, I had a remarkably good time. Probably too good. I wasn't a druggie, I wasn't that, but I was just way too focused on what I'm doing.
Right.
And it was later in life that I realized, oh, right. Fortunately, I had Benmont, Benmont Tench, for those of you, I'm sure everyone knows.
Oh, yeah.
Greatest freaking keyboard guy ever to walk this earth, and he's brilliant, and he's intuitive, and he's a transmitter and a receiver. Like Benmont, there's an elasticity to his knowledge that if he wants to just, it's coming for you?
That's it, don't tell him.
Okay. His intelligence is elastic. If he wants to be a scholar, he's a scholar. He's one of the brightest. He's the brightest guy in the room. But if he wants to be a rocker, he can just sit there and play eights just the way you want him, And for a drummer, he's a drummer's best friend because his hands think like a drummer. They're very beautifully interwoven yet independent, and his body moves like a drummer. He's directs. He's catnip for me. You sit down and play. I put my foot on the floor and hit a bass drum. Benmont immediately, it's game on. I've never had a rough night with. Benmont always has been the oil in the playing for me.
That was the guy you really listened to.
Nobody better. Nobody. Just his soul and the dynamic quality of him. Like he reads the room. He must, if he was a dancer, he'd be Fred Astaire, man. He's like that good.
His dynamics, his sense of just, yeah.
And what he can leave out with just a little, all you got to do is give him the eye up, and it's like we're going straight down the turnpike. Or if you roll your shoulder, it's like, okay, we're in. And the minute I got to play with Benmont Tench, I never wanted to stop playing with Benmont Tench, ever. To this day, it's like, please invite me to Spain on your next solo tour. I'll play brushes. It's like, that is the highest place I get to go to play drums, is if I get to play with Benmont. So, and then Mike is right at, Mike, I'm learning Mike again,
Is he playing different now?
Well, it's a different role for him. I don't know if he's playing differently, but his role is taken on, he's taken on 5 more hats. He's the writer, he's the singer, he's the band leader, he's the director of the whole operation. And Michael was the guitar player, and Ben and Mike were always on the same side of the stage, so they were kind of intertwined for me sonically. Like, all I had to do was lean my right ear over that side, and there was some amazing stuff going on. And their thing was really like the basket weaving, like it's just go, man. So they made it real easy to play drums. Playing drums in the Heartbreakers at that time, easiest job in the world, easiest gig. I won't say anybody could do it, but anybody could do it.
They made it easy. Tell me about Howie Epstein.
Great dude. Great. Old pair of jeans. That's Howie. That's what he feels like on stage.
Oh, love it.
Yeah, Howie feels like your go-to jeans. He was beautiful to watch. He was a fabulous guy, quiet, kind, soulful, and very understated. Would never toot his horn. But when you realize, oh shit, he just won a Grammy with John Prine, he wouldn't tell you. You know what I mean? You'd have to read it in the trades. You'd go, Howie? The same Howie? Yeah, the album's done well, And as a bass player, the kindest thing I can say about him, he hung all over me like a cheap suit, man. He was just like, he was there, and he sang great. So I used to be the kind of the main singer in the old days, before your time. And so Howie took all that responsibility and just said, let me have it. You know, and he just did it effortlessly. He did it like it was, you know, I don't think I ever saw Howie stress, ever, you know?
He's that laid back.
Oh, a couple times on the Dylan tour, I remember thinking like, am I hearing bass? We'd start the song, we'd be half, you know, like a verse in. I realized, I'm not hearing the bass, so I'd look at the monitor guy. My first thought was, well, maybe bass has been jinxed. I'd scream and attack and get me some bass. And I realized, oh, right, Howie's having a cigarette. You know, like, he's just turned around facing his amp, and he's smoking and watching, and then he'd butt the cigarette out just in time to come in for the second verse, as if he'd planned the whole thing. And it sounded beautiful. It was like everything, he was like, you know, life just rolled out in front of Howie. We'd be walking, you know, I'd be taking a walk in the streets of Cincinnati, and I'd look up and at the fountain, and Howie's sitting there playing acoustic guitar in the fountain at Cincinnati, Ohio, with like people just, I don't know, it was almost as if he was like another street musician. I don't know if he was panhandling.
So this is like you're on the road,
yeah,
just during the day. He's just out playing the people.
He's just out on the street, just strumming. I don't know. He was a sort of Sephardic and nomadic and a gypsy and he was a prince, man. He was a prince. I don't know that I ever got, the worst I ever got out of Howie was, oh man. That would have been like, you know, them's fighting words from Howie, like, oh man. Like, basically just saying like, don't do that. I think that was his way of like, But mostly it was like, how you doing? Hey, you know, what's going on? Smoke too much. That was my only gripe with Howie Epstein.
On the bus?
Just generally, it was like, damn, Howie.
Cool.
You're killing yourself.
Was he really an ex-boxer, by the way?
I don't know that, but I know he beat me in arm wrestling, and I'm a pretty big guy.
You are a pretty big guy.
Yeah, I mean,
what is the number on you? How tall are you?
I think I'm 6'3". I think I still am.
Yeah.
I'm probably the incredible shrinking man. That's what happens. But
there's surgery now. I just read about it. You can get 3 inches now. 75 grand.
I'm sure my wife would be thrilled to hear that. 3 inches is a lot.
We'll leave it there. This episode is brought to you by now. So, by the way, you mentioned Cincinnati. You're from Cincinnati.
Yeah, born but not raised.
Okay. That's Florida.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm a Southern boy not by birth, but by raising.
Yeah, because how old were you when you got there?
Oh, I don't even know if I was, you know, out of diapers.
Oh, we're talking. Okay, I got you.
I don't think I was saying anything yet.
I got you. So you were, and so after the Heartbreakers, you just went back to Florida, right?
Actually, during the Heartbreakers, I went back to Florida. I did not do well in LA. I mean, the first few years was great because you're just like a punk and you're in LA, and it's like.
What happened? Did the whole band move there?
No, they moved. They were older than me by about 4 to 5 years, some even older, and they went out as a band called Mudcrutch, and kind of imploded on impact, as I believe. That's probably another episode that I'm not qualified to give you the full. But they went out there, and then the deal I made with my father was I would finish high school, and which I didn't want to do because I was already playing in titty bars, and I was already a train wreck, and you know my parents had split up, and I was pretty much living on with bands, and I think when I got out of high school a little early with like a D average, you know, and got in my bus and just took my drums and my share of the BA from my old band and just went to California. Figured, fuck it, I got to make it. Well, it's like.
But you knew them, though.
Nah, they weren't really on my radar, and I don't think I was really on their radar yet. You know, we knew each other, but they were different genre of music, really.
So you went to LA just on your own, cold, knowing nobody?
Like a dumb. I mean, I went to LA to make it. Whatever the hell that meant. You know what I mean? Like.
What are you, 17?
I think I was more like 18. But I went to LA like. You know, you got to measure your.
Yeah, it takes balls.
Well, it's desperation more than balls. I think desperation is an incredible sauce, when you're making a stew. Like, you know, the desperation makes it all work. It's like hunger is the best sauce. It really is. But desperation is when you're young, it's not a gross thing to see. Too much noise.
It's getting loud. Let's just walk that way.
So yeah, LA. I went to California to make it because I had kind of maxed out after playing bars for 3 years already in Florida, and I'd done all that. I'd done the bar circuit. Been in a band that played everywhere between Atlanta and Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and Miami. And maxed out, and it was time. It was time to make it or break it, and it was actually my mother that suggested California over New York. She said the weather's better.
Smart.
Yeah, she just said, and she, I thank goodness for her encouragement. She was like, you need to go find out if this is your life, and do it now. And I didn't speak to my father for a number of years. His last words were, just what the world needs, another out-of-work drummer, Off I went.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so we didn't talk for a long time, but then it worked out great. I moved back to Florida in 1980. I'd only been in California for 4 or 5 years, and first time I made a little dough, I went and basically bought a house next door to him so we could get to know each other, and commuted to California from the last 15 years of my band life, really. I kept thinking the band would move back to Florida. It was such an idyllic place to grow up, versus California was just such a shit pit. It was like exciting early in life, when you're the whiskey a go-go and all, but you wear it out, you wear it out. All it takes is a few years, you're beating your head against the 405, and you're like, well, this has been a treat. I don't want to grow old here. I want to be on a beach. And that's my story. That's how I got to California and got back.
I love those stories, though, that when people at that young age just go.
Just go.
And you were there for a few years, you're saying?
I went there, but it pretty much got a gig quick. I went there and was kind of lived like a homeless kid. I lived in a garage in Culver City, and then I finally got a job at a record store just because I needed to make money to live. And then I was in a couple bands, and they were good. And then Ben Mott and I met again, and we, like we always do, I fell in love with him all over again. I hadn't seen him in a number of years, but we met in my garage in Laurel Canyon. I was still living on my Volkswagen bus, and we talked about we should form a band. And Ben had songs; he was writing songs, and I think I heard a couple, and I went, these are great. So he booked a studio at like 4 a.m. or whenever you could get free time. You know how that goes. And Ron Blair happened to be my next door neighbor. And so he said, who do you know that plays bass? And I remember Ron from Gainesville, he was just a badass. Ron was like Allman Brothers good, like that good. Ron was like a fucking good musician. Great guitar player, great bass player, great looking, just man, if I could ever be in a band with Ron Blair. So I remember knocking on his door, like, hey man, feel like coming down to a demo? And he was like, yeah, whatever, sure, So he probably brought a jazz bass and proceeded to be Ron Blair, and then Ben Mott brought Mike. And we all showed up in a room together, and we were cutting Ben Mott songs. And then Tom showed up to play harmonica and just sort of hang. And then I think he heard the band, and within 10 minutes he went, this is, he locked the door. Nobody leaves. This is the shit, because I think the next day I got a call from Tom going like, Stanley, are you in a band? I'm like, yeah, I'm in a couple of bands. Well, you want to throw in your lot with me? You want to do something? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll do it, but it's got to be a real band. I'm not just coming over to hang out and play a couple tracks.
Sure.
I was a band guy.
Yeah.
Like, if we're not going to be a band, step off, I don't need, but he was down with it, and off we went.
You were the young guy, you were saying, you were the youngest. Was that dynamic in play, sort of like a family as far as? I felt. Were you the kid brother?
I picked that job myself. They didn't really do it to me. I over-identified with the guy who wanted to please them. In retrospect, I can see that was a burden for them and for me.
They didn't treat you like that, you're saying?
No, they would have treated me with... I didn't treat myself well. And I was too much humping to please. I was trying too hard. I was too loud. They were a very quiet, non-demonstrative bunch. They never spoke. which I misinterpreted as maybe less than brilliant. And I thought that, I thought smart people are loud and they speak up, because I was young. And, they didn't make themselves known, so I took it upon myself to be the noisy guy. And I was that guy. If there was a fight to be had in the lobby, that was me. If somebody needed to get punched out, I'm going to do it. And Johnny Rodden's pissing Tom off, I'm going to kick his ass. Nobody asked me to do it. It just seemed to fall upon me.
Wait a minute, is that a real story?
Yeah, it's a true story. He gave Tom some shit one
night. Johnny Rotten?
Yeah.
Where is this?
This is in London. We walked into a hotel and he said, "Oh, it's the Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, the posh rockers from L.A." or something like that.
Wait, just to be clear, this is in the lobby. You're coming in as a band, and he's alone?
Yeah, and no, he was with his posse of whatever they were. I'm sure they were nice guys,
Okay. But he just says it out loud.
He just said something derogatory. It rubbed us all wrong. And it rubbed Tom wrong, which he said something like, Rotten thinks we're, I don't know what he said, but it was enough for me to just hear. All I heard was sick, kill him, So I think I dove over a couch and, just was like, I'm going to rip his fucking head off.
So you attacked Johnny Rotten?
Well, I tried. I don't think I got that. I think everybody, my memory of it is he just kind of went, ugh, and kind of went street, three people dragged him out, and I think Tom jumped on my back and said, no. But it was like stuff like that. I mean, Tom protected me. I remember being protected by him a couple times in clubs. And then I protected him whenever, we all did.
Yeah, you were a gang. You were a real
gang. You don't fuck with this band. I mean, that was my, and I'm 6'3". I will fucking kill you.
Yeah.
It's like, and that went for promoters. That went for anybody, don't cross this bunch.
So you were the first guy to get in someone's face. You were the first guy to open up and say, "This is bullshit."
Probably.
Yeah.
And then Tom didn't do it physically, but he could be very barbaric when he needed to be.
What does that mean when you say
abusive, cruel? Like to if it wasn't going his way, he could just absolutely
with words, with mind games.
Oh well, maybe a little all of the above, but he was a tough cookie. And but no, my early memories, the first few years are fantastic. I just couldn't have asked for a better family, and they really were. They were all I had. I didn't have anyone. I think Marcy, Mike's wife, tells me that I actually stayed at their house. I don't remember that, but I'm sure it's true. I didn't have a place to live. We made
This is in L.A.
We went to England, and I didn't have an apartment to come home to. Everything that I owned went with me. So it was like when I came back. I think I lived at some hotel on Santa Monica. I was an urchin, essentially the first few years,
Oh, it's easy when you're young, right? It's a little.
I didn't know any better. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
I didn't care.
When does the bread start coming in for you? Do you know? Do you remember that specifically?
Well, it's all relative.
Okay, that's fair.
$300 a week was a lot of bread for me, because I calculated that that's what my father made as a school teacher. So when I could get an advance of that,
you're making what your dad made, exactly.
In my mind, I'm thinking that's when I could call him. I didn't say that, but I could feel like, well, if he doesn't respect me now, then this reflects more on him.
Because we're equal now.
Well, in my mind, I'm
at the time.
Yeah, I'm 21 years old, and I have a livelihood too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that money, it's an elastic concept, man. There is a concept of enough. I think it's bullshit when people say, there's never enough. Mm-hmm. No, that's bullshit. There is enough. And you actually can, that's a conscious decision, unless something horrible's happening in your life, health, doctors, lawyers. I mean, there can be things where, there's never enough. But money, I was always a little envious of people that had money when I didn't have it. And now that my life has turned out pretty well, I'm like, I want what I have. So I was always kind of that guy but when did the money come, like real money?
As far as like you could buy a house and you could buy a car.
Interesting concept. Well, as Elliot Roberts once said, we were leaving the Forum. We just sold out the Forum like 2 or 3 nights, these girls are diving on the limo and I'm like in a limo with Elliot, and we're pulling away and it's just, the world's ours. LA is mine that night. And I asked Elliot the same question. I said, Elliot, at what point, what point do I get the bread? And, and he looked at me, it was perfect. He rolled a joint, smoked a big puff and blew it in my face. And he goes, I'll try to get it right. He goes, Stan, you make 90% of your money on the way down. Which was like, didn't strike me correct. I didn't understand it, but I got it later. And he said, Stan, there's rich, famous, and hot. He goes, right now you're hot. And he goes, Crosby, Stills, and Nash right now would give anything to be hot. They're rich and famous, but they're not hot. And he goes, you guys are hot. He goes, this town, he goes, I'm glad to be riding with you because anywhere we go tonight, it's your town. Anywhere you want to go. It's like every door's open, every table's yours, every girl's yours. He goes, it's your week, basically, And I didn't get all that till I was out of the group, or maybe, like it's time to cut a song for a greatest hits record, which nobody wanted to even do, by the way. Greatest hits records are for, that's a punk thing to do.
Was that just contractual obligation?
I don't know. I wasn't really involved. I was already out. And I got a call, I think from Mike, hey, we want to cut a song for the greatest hits. I think it's probably right that we all get together and, I'm like, great. So I flew out there.
But you were officially out or you were?
No, I was out. I think I was out.
Okay. And yet there you were.
Yeah, maybe, that might have been the gray area. I don't really know what was happening then. Maybe there was a lot of weird, I don't remember really.
That's fair, yeah.
Or maybe I choose not to remember. I don't fucking know.
It's been a long time. I get it, man.
Yeah. And then here's back to Elliot's point about business and money. We do a greatest hits record. We cut a song that essentially, in some people's mind, was a throwaway, and it's the biggest hit we've ever had. It's that Mary Jane, and the greatest hit records sells like double digits of millions. It's like, and I'm done. I'm out. I'm already like, I'm living on a beach in Florida. I'm a beach bum. I'm a groovy guy. I'm having fun. So for me, bread was like, as Elliot, you'll make 90% of your money on the way down. So it's like, I'm on the way down, with that group. They're not. The band is, they're fine. Their star's still ascending. They're doing whatever they're doing. And I'm not even aware of it. And all of a sudden, somebody calls me and goes, the record sold a gazillion, and look what's coming. And it's like, holy shit. So I don't know, does that answer your question?
You got a nice big fat check, and it was prophetic what happened in that limo that night.
Oh yeah, it was proven 20 years later to be absolutely prophetic and the absolute truth.
Yeah.
And so for me, I don't know. I mean, the band, what a great chapter. That's how I look at it. I'm so grateful that I got to do it. I'm so grateful I didn't have to do it beyond the fun zone for me. Mm-hmm. Like, I survived it, most limbs intact.
It does appear to be that way.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because Michael will spring a song on me. Go, do you know such and such a song? And I'm like, I've never even heard it. And he goes, oh, it's on a record. But honestly, when I was no longer involved with the group, I lost all interest in it because it was so personal to me that I couldn't care less. And it wasn't a spiteful thing. I just had I was busy. It's like, I did not watch the band play the Super Bowl. I happened to be at a movie that night. It wasn't intentional. Mm-hmm. It was like, I just couldn't be bothered. It was like,
right.
And I've never watched. There's a documentary that goes on for hours. Never seen it.
It goes on.
I know it's good, and I know the band's good, and I know that my role.
Guy, Peter Bogdanovich, I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
I think someone from his.
Did they reach out?
In a way that I found disrespectful. So obviously, I just had something else to do. It wasn't a question. It wasn't an ask. It was a tell. That's what I remember. And it was like, no, I'm busy. And I was. I didn't feel like. It was like all of a sudden you're back in the cult. You know what I mean? Like Jim Jones just said the Kool-Aid's over here, and it's like, but I'm not in Jonestown. I've got other commitments, and bands are biospheres, man. For those of you that are in them, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There's internal struggles, there's dramas, there's greatness, there's success. And when you're not involved, it's kind of like the military in a way. Like, once you can still choose to be part of it, and you are a piece of it, but you're not actively being called up tomorrow for reveille. You hear it, in your ex-military, and you go like, oh, look, somebody's having to get up today. And it's not me, and my uniform doesn't really fit. You know what I mean? I'm like a little fatter now, and it's like, I don't really want to be saluted. And bands are very, when you're in them, you are in them. And when you're out of them, you are out of them. I mean, I had the same affinity for the Heartbreakers when I was out of them as I did for AC/DC. It was like, I love them. They're great, but I'm not really current. I'm Back in Black or whatever,
Yeah.
It's like, it's a band. It's just another band, but I'm not, I don't know. Cool. Not interested in the drama or who's doing a film about or where they're playing. I'm not going. It's like, I don't know. Does that explain it?
It does.
Did I overdo it as usual?
Not at all.
That's my general theme.
Do you have a favorite album? Does it exist for you, or not even?
No, I guess. Well, I got a little romance for the first couple. More romance for those two, just because it's so teenage. And I can see the drums. I can see all the goofiness and like the mutt drum kits that I'm trying to make sound good, and I can see all the, it's pretty great. It's pretty great, and I can see my friends still from that time frame. I can see all the. But I do remember I was jogging down the beach with a drummer buddy of mine in Santa Monica when the third album came out, and we're jogging up and down the beach, and literally transistor radios are still a thing, and we made it to the pier and back. It's like a mile. And we heard 4 songs off the Damn the Torpedoes record. And I remember my buddy looked at me and he goes, Lynch, is this a fucking joke? He goes like, am I getting punked? And I go, dude, I don't know what's happening here. I really don't know. This is weird. Like I'm hearing, of course that was LA, and but it was like something happened then that the rules changed. Everything changed. That was a very successful record, pretty much by any metric. It was, and things, life got different,
Yeah, that's when you were super hot.
Yeah, and with all that implies, good and bad. It was, and I'm still a kid. I'm 24 years old.
Too much, too soon.
Probably for me. The other guys, they had family and kids, and it all kind of made sense to them. For me, it was just like, what? It was just
kid in a candy store.
Probably, yeah, probably just
But you got good story. Have you thought about a book?
I think everybody should write a book. The world is who hasn't written a book? I mean, everybody's. It would be. I have diaries and I have journals. It would be funny, and I have lots of pictures and movies, but I don't know that the world really gives a shit about another drummer's opinion of all of it. But it was great. It was great to be there. I'm really fortunate. I'm very grateful. That's every morning I start with that. I can't believe I'm still here. And it's almost as if I lied. I remember lying in high school, going, yeah, one day, because I remember the teacher, Lynch, you're terrible in math. I'm not going to need math. I'm going to be a rock star. I was that guy. Fuck. I'm not going to gym. Blow me, you know. I'm going to be a famous musician, you know. And I lied so easily, and then the lie came true. So some days I actually wake up and go, did it really happen, or am I going to wake up and find out I just lied like I was just a lying sack of shit, you know? So I don't know if that, but there's a through the looking glass if I take it seriously, you know. Like some people I meet, you know, with mics, they remind me, like, it was important. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, wow, you're good. I'm like, oh, okay.
Did you really give away your drums?
I actually set fire to a kit. I burned them.
Okay, let's get into this. How many did you even have?
I had a lot of drum sets. Most of them went to my buddies. They were all, because Tama was a wonderful company to be with. They were I bought one set in '79. Shelly Ackes, the engineer for Dan the Torpedoes, did not like my drums when we went to record. And Iovine was brought in to produce the record, and he, you know, the specific sound they were going for, really weird. I mean, you know, for me it was like, okay, great. Shelly, wonderful engineer. For those of you who don't know, everything from Moondance to Alice Cooper to Don Henley. I mean, the guy is just great, you know. And he took me drum shopping and listened to drums and picked out the Tama Imperial Stars for some reason, which I don't know why. And I bought a set, and that became the kit in the studio. That was it for me. I tried other kits, and it would be like, Tom would go, bring your drums, you know, and be like, okay. So over the course of that relationship, they would provide a drum set for me pretty much every tour, you know. I want a red one, I want this one, you know. It was like, and my kit, for those of you who don't know, is really primal. It's like 4 pieces, and you know, it's not a lot of stuff.
That was a big Tom, wasn't it? Wasn't it oversized, or am I wrong?
The Tama kit was traditional. It was 24. I had one of everything. The first kit I bought, Shelly made me buy everything, like a 24, a 6, an 8, a 12, a 13, a 14, and a 16.
Hal Blaine style, just a bunch of.
Well, he just wanted all the all the options.
Yeah.
And but the kit I settled on was pretty much for live was a 22, a 13, and a 16. Like that was my kit. You know, I just
yeah.
I never thought about it. It was like, so where was I? Oh, the drums. All my buddies were drummers, you know, and they were struggling. You know, they didn't have access to drums. So pretty much at the end of every tour, they would disappear. You know, I'd just go like, you know, I don't know, what happened to those drums? Oh, Robert's got them, David's got them, somebody's got them, you know. And they were really nice. Tama was really nice to me. They were wonderful. Wonderful drum company. And I was really happy because I remember reading that Stuart Copeland used Imperial Stars too, so I thought, well, I'm in good company, you know.
They're great drums.
They're cool drums.
To this day, people are seek them out.
They're cool. They're.
But you gave them all away and you burned a kit.
I brought a kit home to Florida, and I took it down to the beach and I poured like a half a gallon of gasoline over and watched them burn.
Was this a ritual of sex?
No, it was
exorcism?
I was told that I like ceremony by a therapist when I was struggling once. He goes, you know, you need permission and you need ceremony. You need closure. You like to be welcomed officially and you like to be told to leave officially. You're not the kind of guy who's a whatever guy. So I thought, well, this will be my ceremony. I'll do an exorcism. Because after my tenure with the group, I did not feel good. It was bad. It was creepy. Mm-hmm. Something was creepy in
almost like a divorce, no?
Worse. The divorce you kind of see coming, and you get to pick your team to represent you. You know, this was more of an excommunication, like a defrocking.
Yeah, getting shunned from the tribe.
Yeah, and that's
very primal. Yeah,
and actually reading things about me that were untrue, that were.
Yeah, you didn't have social media to help to clear that up.
I didn't. It was hurtful.
Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And so I needed to hurt something back. So I just took it out on the equipment one week. You know, I left him on the beach and let him do it was almost like a Planet of the Apes. They just burned and sat there till they just washed out to sea, you know? Like, it's like, damn you all to hell, you know? It was like the Charlton Heston, you know? And
Did it feel good at the time?
it helped. Yeah, it helped. It was just between me and them. I don't think anybody knew I was doing it but me. And yeah, I cured myself ultimately, but it took a long time. It was.
Well, that's the never-ending thing, isn't it?
Well,
to some degree.
Meaning, clarify.
Well, I mean, like the journey of life.
Oh yeah, I see.
It's always a work in progress, like you said.
Yeah, but
you're working on things. You go to therapy. You're out of therapy. You go back to therapy.
Sure.
You know.
Well, therapy sometimes for me is nothing more than nature and breathing. You know, like I can do therapy. You know, down at the riverfront today, I did some. You know, I got to walk for 2 hours on the water and smell it and touch it. You know, and like that was therapy.
You're a big beach guy?
I love the beach.
Do you surf?
No, I'm a terrible surfer. Awful, worst.
The worst.
Yeah,
literally.
There's nobody worse.
Yeah, I love it.
But I can body surf and I can swim and I like the water. I like to see it.
Is it something you do like weekly? Are you in there?
Well, with the weather, I'm a fair weather. Warm water is kind of my thing. I'm not like a cold water guy, but
right.
The beach is beautiful. I mean, I grew up in that part of Florida, so getting to return home and live like that was a trade-off I was willing to make. You know, like if I can live in this world, like the houses have never been that interesting to me. The place is always interesting. Like that's the one, like a house you can bulldoze and build another one, but you can never replace the spot. So as long as I lived on nice spots, that might be a little cerebral, but I've loved where I live has been more important than how I live. It's like, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I have preferences, but you know, if the art is what's out the window. You know, I don't need to put anything on the wall if I live right. You know, I just open the curtain and there's the painting on the wall, you know.
Have you been in the same spot for a while? I've
lived in that, I've had an old house on the beach in Florida for 32 years, and I've had another place, got a little tree farm outside of the town we grew up in that I've had since 1980. So shit, what's that, 40? I don't know.
Damn.
Yeah. But I moved around a lot within but those two places were always, you know, I was locked in. Like I just, for better or worse, I never wanted to be anywhere else, really, you know. So that was nice to know. I learned that early. So I wasn't like freaking out, like, where am I going to live? LA I knew I was passing through.
Yeah, that just is,
That wasn't going to be.
That's not a fit.
Nah.
In New York or anywhere else you ever, because you've been all over the world.
I'll visit anytime, you know, especially work. I love going to places, odd locations for work.
Yeah, how is it now? Back to that. I mean, being on the road again. Some good and some bad, is it?
It's mostly bad. It's like the travel.
Mostly bad.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really tell you there's much good about being in an airport. I mean, let's be, you know, can I be frank?
Yeah.
No, hotels. There's no such thing as a good hotel. You know, there really isn't. It's a hotel. As soon as the door slams, it's like the sound of like prison bars going lockdown.
Papillon, yeah.
Yeah, it's like so. I'm not complaining. It's part of what, you know. Like when Mike asked, that was the first thought I thought. I was like, shit, I don't want that life, but I want to play my drums with Mike Campbell. So that's the trade-off. You know, like, what do I got to do? Well, he's not going to come to my house and jam. That would have been ideal. Stan, I want to play with you. I'm coming down to Florida. It's like, yes, but you know, I mean, no, I can't speak. You know, there's nothing rewarding about the road at this point. I mean, and that I think most musicians will concur that there was a time in my life where being on the road was a shitload better than being at home because I lived better on the road. The bed was nicer, the sheets were nicer. I mean, you know, the first time I looked at a Four Seasons hotel room, I crapped my pants. I didn't know that you could live that good. And they bring food. You know, it's like, oh my God, and there's a bar full of girls downstairs. I mean, I want to live like this, And it was right about that time that the rest of the guys in the band were going like, I hate the road. And I'm like, you don't understand, this is great, But then your life at home, you adjust and you realize like, wait, I can kind of perfect my surroundings and get them the way I like them. And, but there's the people is the only upside about being on the road. You get to be, I get to be around great musicians. Lance is great, Jason's great. These guys, I get to be around cats.
Yeah.
It's like, that's pretty groovy.
Did you just meet these guys?
I did.
Yeah.
Just met him.
Cold.
Well, that's not true. Lance I knew because he was he played with Don on the Austin City Limits I was discussing. And he also, I think previous to that there was an album I worked on with Don called Inside Job, and Lance came in to play on a song with me. We actually I played drums with him on a track on that record. So Lance and I got along great. I mean, he's just, have you interviewed him? Nope. Good dude. He's cool. He's got a great history. Played on a lot of records, a lot of good records, like Ironic by Alanis Morissette, and he's good.
With Matt Log, right? Wasn't that?
I'm not sure that was the session, but Matt, Matt's.
I thought he did that.
Probably,
but I don't. Yeah,
but Lance is badass. Jason's badass. I mean, these guys are all they're pretty damn good. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. No, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry, I was going to ask you. Did you get offers, like random offers, at any point from? I don't know, a band, an artist who said...
To do what?
To come play drums, specifically drums.
No, I don't think so.
Really?
No, I did not. I mean, maybe a couple, but they were like...
I'm kind of angry about that.
Yeah, it was funny. I don't know, if you remember a band called The Motels?
Yes, I do.
Marty Gerard's a dear friend of mine. He's one of the founding members, sax player, keyboard guy. And he was like, I remember he said when the Motels first broke up, they're back together again. But he said, I was sure that I was going to get all these great calls to play sax, because I'm the guy who played the sax solo on, fill in the blank. And he goes like, the phone never rang. And I remember we both laughed about that hysterically. And that was kind of like, you don't want to overstate your importance. As the wise man once said, if it wasn't for you, there'd be somebody else, It's like you're not that important. No one is, really. And there's very few key men in this world. So drummers, I'd like to believe that what I did was important at the time for that group. But I think insert your drummer here, and probably they didn't, either they didn't think of me or maybe they just went like, I'm a narrow lane. I got a pretty narrow lane.
Yeah, it's a great lane, man.
It's served me well, but it's a pretty tight lane. It's like, I got, the guardrails are pretty.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's been drummers who've also have over the years who've told you how much you've meant to them. Well, please tell me that at least.
Oh, yeah, I've gotten cats that have, I don't suffer from lack of attaboy.
I mean, I need to hear that too.
Yeah, no, I think my life. It was hard for me to hear it. I got, for many, many decades, all I could get was, oh, shucks. Now I can hear it a little better. Like if somebody says, especially from someone younger, like they'll go like, oh man, that was, but mostly what I hear is youthful exuberance in the old records. I just go, well, nothing was thought out. Mm-hmm. It was just, this is what I could do, and this is what I did. So it's
pure instinct.
It's all you got.
Which is beautiful, though.
I guess so.
Talent is in the choices, I always say. Now, is there a track to this now, as the age you are, and you hear it, that you say, hey man, that's pretty good. Like, you're proud of it?
Yeah, I can hear a couple things. I mean, a couple things, like, there's a few. I mean, I'm not really embarrassed by the drumming. Sometimes I just think I overplayed, but I think most musicians as they get older will think the same thing, but I like Breakdown. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I
like American Girl. I like Listen to Her Heart. I like Here Comes My Girl. I think it's a good record. I like I heard some live stuff the other day on TP Radio. I heard like a live Old Kings Road. or something, and we're all, and I'm singing my little brains out, and like it makes me happy, I just kind of get happy. I turn it up, which is new for me. I will actually, I kind of drive down the road, kind of going, well, look at these little idiots. But most, and you know what I heard? Last Dance the other day, and I went, that's pretty good that's a sweet little, these are all live all these tracks are done without click tracks. All of this stuff was done off the floor, count 4, and they're all live, no edits. We were so stupid and unsophisticated, we didn't realize you could edit or cut to a clock or, so all this stuff is just, they're just little live tracks. And so I'm proud of what I did. I'm proud of what everybody did. I'm like, I've started listening to Michael, on the records and on Benmont and Tom's vocals. And I'm like, this is all live shit, So, when I hear an old song from the 80s, I'll go like, man, that's pretty healthy. It's pretty healthy. No, there's no flat tire, out of 5 guys, there's no flat tire,
Right.
So, and most of that stuff is a live track with maybe a background overdub, vocal, maybe a guitar solo, but I doubt it. Like Mike just played that shit off the floor, So it's like, most of Damn the Torpedoes is pretty much a live record. It's live. Like I said, maybe there's a yeah or something we threw on there, and probably a shaker or a tambourine or something, but it's just a track.
Did you like working with Iovine on that? Or
Jimmy, I'm getting my head around Jimmy Iovine, because it was a very stressful time for me. It was probably stressful for him as well. He's a big picture guy. I don't think he gave a shit about anybody in the band except the singer, because that was his job. Mm-hmm. It's just, he had songs and an artist. So for Jimmy, he was making solo records and didn't understand why Tom was having to go through all this trouble with these idiots. Like, why do I have to play this many takes with this drummer when I know a great drummer who can do this faster?
Was that discussed in front of you, or is this?
No, but that was the feeling. No, nobody had the balls or the to discuss anything in front of anybody. No, that was the cruelty of it all. It was anything that happened was behind closed doors, and as I was fond of saying, like, by the time I went to the band meeting, first thing out of my mouth was, the real meeting must have happened yesterday, because this is not a meeting. This is just a bloodletting. You know what I mean? Like, I would have loved to have been at the meeting, but Jimmy, he did. I won't say didn't know. That's not true. Jimmy, he's obviously a brilliant guy. He didn't care that there was an emotional component to making records with a rock and roll band who's been on the road and living in each other's shit for years. And I have found producing to be I've learned from negative examples some of the things you don't want to do. You don't want to punish a band. You don't want to berate them. You don't want to yell at them. You want to remind everybody in the room why we're here, which is to express the joy for this music. If you're not comfortable, let's get you comfortable. And as a producer, I think I've done a better job of making the musicians feel important and wanting to perform, rather than it's more like certain producers make you feel more like you're on a Viking, like, row, you won't get food till you get, it's like, and that was very barbaric. But, I don't need to speak in his defense, but if I did, it would be something like, he's got great songs, he's got a great singer, what the fuck's the problem? Yeah. Well, the problem's probably the drummer or somebody in the band or whatever. So, I don't know. I don't. I can pretty much guarantee Jimmy would not want to produce me ever again, and I don't really want to be produced by Jimmy. So, but I'm really happy life worked out great for him, and I hope he's happy that my life worked out great.
No, I get it. Can I ask you about Hell Freezes Over, that record?
Sure.
You're listed as, it's like 3 producers, you and the Eagles.
Right.
So can we just break that down?
Literally the second day after I found out that I was officially released from my job as drummer with the Heartbreakers, I'm kind of sitting there kind of going, what the well, that was quick. You know, I'm like 39 and I'm kind of like, I'm scared to death. And the phone rings and it's my buddy Henley. And I figure he must know, you know, like, oh man, he's calling me to like, you know, it's going to be cool. Yeah, no, he didn't care. You know, he's just like, what are you doing? I think I said, oh, I'm kind of twitching and walking around in a circle. And he goes, he didn't pick up on that I was having an emotional problem. He just said, get your ass on a plane, bring your equipment out here. We need to write songs. The Eagles are getting back together. I want you to help me write and produce a song. So I'm like going, well, there's a hell of a rebound, you know, like, so I packed up all my shit in the flight cases and took my little writing room and took it out to his place, and we wrote a song, you know, and it was like, it was all happening like, thank God, you know, it was like so basically he said, and he liked the demo. We had written we created a pretty cool little track for a demo, and he just said, you know, the Eagles are going to get back together. Let's make it sound like this. So that was really my job, was to not lose it in translation. Probably the key needed to be changed and some things, you know, of technical nature that my demo wasn't going to work. But plus I think I was still running like 3 ADATs or something, you know, some kind of weird, and an old Soundcraft console. This is all way before portable Pro Tools and DAWs, and, you know, but so that was how that worked. So I got to see some of the inner workings of the band, although that was very stressful for them, if you can imagine. What a weird place for all of them and me to be watching. Like, they haven't talked to each other in years. And
you're there with all of them.
Well, they kind of came in and worked individually. I was watching it like everybody was still drawing their boundaries and figuring out what their relation. Once again, I can't get into their head.
No. I'm just wondering, like, was like Don and Glenn there at the same time together?
A couple times, yeah. Okay. Yeah. A couple times they were in there. Yeah.
What was that like?
Don was my friend, and I don't know, by extension, I think Glenn tolerated me. You know, but I don't think he had. He's probably like, what the fuck is this? You know, Don and I got.
Knew who you were.
Well, I think only through Don. Like, this is some guy that Don wants in the room. That's what I picked up on.
But the story seemed to be that Glenn he was a little rough.
Well, I think they could both be rough, but I never experienced it because it was, you know, I think I can say this without offending anybody or, you know, offending my dear friend, but I was told for years, you know, Don's tough. He's tough. He's really tough. Boy, you know, he's going to be a tough guy to get along with. And from the first day I met him, it was a gas. All we wanted to do was like, where's the food? You know, we're both from the South. He was a gas. So.
Just clicked.
I never experienced. I mean, I've seen the side. You know, we all have a side where you're like, you know, going, ooh, that's a tough day.
But I've seen you hangry and cranky. I know that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, I think Don, you know, I think he once called it a low tolerance Tuesday one day when he was having a rough day one day. And I said, what's up? Low tolerance Tuesday, basically, so he could still make self-deprecating. Like, yeah, I'm a tough guy to get along with today. It's Tuesday. I'm not having. But so Glenn was never that jocular with me. I could never make the connection. You know, I might have tried too hard. I don't know, but I seeing the two of them at a microphone one day was almost enough to send me into like a childhood spin when they were singing in unison on one mic. It's that sound, and it was scary because they were singing like the same exact part, but the noise, it was like Beetlegood. It was like Lennon and McCartney when they sang together. There's like this other thing, and it was like, oh shit, I hope I've got that on tape somewhere. But it was like, yeah, there was magic in the room when the two of them. And basically, the best thing you can do when that's happening, get the fuck out of the way. You know, don't and I probably didn't have the brains to melt. You know, I probably was like, this sounds amazing, you know, and like, oh shit, mood breaker, you know, coitus interruptus, you know. So, yeah, but you realize there's certain, you know, even watching the Beatle, you know, the 6 hours of them, you realize that the people recording have the ability to melt. They just disappear and let the boys do their thing, you know, and it's like, that's pretty great. And that's Don and Glenn, you know, and when it was working, oh, holy shit, you know. Enough said.
Yeah. So just to be clear though, on your role as a producer, how does that, like I said, there's like 3 names listed. So when you're there, you're the producer?
The producer for certain bands of that caliber, you could almost substitute the word facilitator, or whatever needs to be done, that's what you will do. Like, sometimes being the producer is nothing more than making sure the right microphone and vocal chain is selected, the lights are correct, making sure that everybody knows that there's food available, making sure that everybody knows this is going to be a quiet space, like this is like you put up the right sign, this is do not enter, private session. Like, being a producer is reading the room. Some days it's of a very technical nature. You carry the notebook, you know, which take, you know, they're just singing. So there might be so many takes that if you're not the guy in the room just writing, you know, good, number 14, excellent, great, you know. So it's an all, producer is a catch-all. It's a term that can mean everything and nothing. You know, like as Dylan once said, you're the producer, produce me a bottle of wine, you know. It's like, so, you know, I've been, you know, with Don, I've had very technical jobs with him, like where it's like I'm carrying the football. It's like nuclear codes, you know, like, because we've been in 3 different cities recording this song, and I've got to know that the Nashville version, take 14 is the one with this correct bass player, and, you know, it can be a lot of stuff, and recreating vocal chains, or we have to call so-and-so back, what microphone, you know, making sure we have photo documentation, and, you know, it's like, and, you know, headphones got to be right, you know, and then sometimes it's just a question of like, you want barbecue? You know, and it's like, that's the right, good call, producer, you just saved the session. We all, you know, like not showing up with a salad when it's barbecue day. It's like, it's a wonderful job. It's pretty stressful. I don't know that I've got much in, and there's really no call for it anymore because everybody's working at home. Everybody's got a DAWs, and everybody's got a way of recording, and demos are records. You know, if you own a good, you know, I'm just going to say Pro Tools because it's kind of the de facto standard, but if you've got good files, good audio files, you're making records, you know. I mean, if they're just so awful that they've got an ambulance in the background or something, probably not, unless it's that kind of record. But, I mean, you could make a record in this bathroom. That would be amazing, you know, if you kind of have your, you know, and the last 6 or 7 years, I've become a pretty good journeyman engineer. You know, I don't know if I'm a mixer, but I can record. You know.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Stan Lynch, talk to me about your 2 other side projects that you got going on.
I love them. They came to me pretty much purely by accident. One is John Davis. He's a singer-songwriter out of Dallas. Fantastic. I met him years ago in Nashville. We started writing, and in the process of our writing together, he decided that we should go ahead and make this into a band. So we have a band called the Speaker Wars.
Are you on drums?
I am playing drums and whatever else is needed. And
would this mean touring?
I would hope so. At some point, yeah, it'd be fun.
So you'd be down for that?
Oh, yeah. And he's got this guy named Andy Timmons playing. This guy. It's Andy Timmons is playing guitar. And he's fantastic.
Andy Timmons.
Yeah, he's fucking great. So the band has got all the potential to be fabulous. And they're great guys, which is the number one thing at this point in my life. Is it a good hang?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And yeah, John and Andy are fantastic. John's a great delivery system. Andy's obviously He's phenomenal. And so we I won't say cobbled, but we John picked the best of. and he said, "This is what I want to release." And he's the brains of the outfit, and it's cool. I love it. I love that I'm involved. I think he's trying to figure out what marketing even means. What does that even, once again, there's the music business. I take care of the music. I don't give a shit about the business. I don't know anything about it. Then the other group I'm enjoying right now is a band called The Chefs, which is Dan Baird, if those of you don't remember. Thank you very much. And
the great Dan Baird.
The great Dan Baird. He is. And Joe Blanton, who is another fabulous singer-songwriter, guitar player in Nashville. Those two are actually tight as ticks. And I'm sort of the third guy on the wheel. We made an instrumental record last year, and then by berating Dan, we said, you must start singing. So we made another. The Chef's "Sing for Your Supper" is coming out, I think, next week or next month. So I got 2 projects that I hope will get enough traction that I can just enjoy working with the cats.
And by the way, both these are based in Nashville.
No, John. The Speaker Wars are based out of Dallas.
Okay.
Which is where he lives.
So you're traveling to do the work?
Well, we had to do, with everybody in COVID, we all had to do it all piecemeal. We were all working in quarantine.
You're tracking from home?
Yeah, and we're file sharing. I got my studio up and running. I'm doing this for this or doing this for this. And
you're not, so did you go to Nashville to record with the Chefs?
No.
Same thing?
No, nobody would leave lockdown.
This is all during lockdown?
Yes.
Got it.
So this is what I did with my life for the last...
Got it.
2.5, 3 years or whatever.
Now, would that be a project that would tour?
I hope it's possible. That's really down to Dan. Dan. I don't know. I'm not sure. Dan probably has even less interest than me. But I love both. I love them both. And Dan is just. I fell in love with Dan in the '80s on a Heartbreakers tour. They were the opening act, and I just fell for him like a ton of bricks. This guy's the greatest. And same with John. I saw him it's an embarrassment of riches. And then between that and then Mike calling me, it's like, you can throw a dart and I go like, man, this is gonna be fun.
A little renaissance here.
Maybe.
Interesting.
It may be.
And you're having fun playing drums again.
I'm learning. I'm only 4 gigs in. I've only played these songs 4 times.
Well, do you still then have that sense of, oh shit, this one? What happened?
I can't see around the corners yet. I'm like going, I don't know, and I'm waiting for somebody to send up a flare.
Yeah.
It's like I can't predict, and I think to Michael's credit, he doesn't want me to predict. He is like broken field running, calling audibles. I think he's willfully making sure that nobody knows what the hell's going on. I think it's a conscious decision. I'd have to ask him, but I don't want to. But I think there's part of Michael that he's a guitar player, man. He wants to be inspired, and he's not going to be as inspired if it's just, okay, I know that after 4 bars, we all come, Mike's like, man, if it's rocking, I'll keep playing. If it's just,
I'll cue you. I'll hold up the
yeah, when I'm done, you'll know.
Right.
So,
right.
Or maybe I'm done before I started because I ain't feeling it.
You still playing tradition?
99% of the time I try to. If I can't hear myself, then I go matched. But it's a sonic thing. Like I can't.
Oh, you can just hit harder matched, yeah.
Well, yeah, or just I feel more secure. Like if you can't hear like traditional for technical. There's a lot of shadow beats when you play traditional that just happen by accident. They're not really.
The ghost notes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And when you don't hear your ghost notes, you tend to sound like you're making mistakes. Like if you're playing, like it's like what? So then there's very few. Well, Greg Bissonette plays great ghost notes with a match grip, and so does Ringo. I do not. I haven't figured. I can't play a decent double stroke roll match grip,
That's great.
I can't do it, it's like, so it's a whole different style. And Matt is matched and he's power pocket the whole way. So they're adapting to me, like, cause I'm like behind the beat as usual and kind of like flopping through it. And that's either my charm or whatever it is, but they're finding their way toward me, which is really nice. Are you coming?
I can't make it. I have a gig tonight.
Oh, where are you going? What are you doing?
I'm doing the Austin Yacht Club private party.
All right. Tell me tomorrow night. I think we're playing here 2 nights.
I'm flying out tomorrow to LA.
Well, get the fuck out of here then, man.
I know, man.
Okay,
I
so
would have loved to.
Yeah, I could. I think I know somebody.
Yeah, no, I would have loved to have caught the show again.
So is that your gig? That's your gig too?
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah. You know the deal.
I do. I mean, it's like, but yeah, so great. So you got to get going.
I'm good, brother. Hey, man, thank you for doing this.
Oh yeah, did you get what you came for?
I love it.
Okay, good.